What you got to say about Project 2025?
Have you heard of Agenda 47?
Say what?
Agenda 47.
Nah.
It's the actual platform that Trump is going to push when he becomes president. It's listed on his official campaign website. Project 2025 is not to be found there. Matter of fact, Project 2025 was created by a conservative think tank named the Heritage Foundation.
It's supposed to make it legal to be
Has
homeless.
nothing to do with Trump. Trump has neither endorsed nor supported this platform.
But the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 supports and endorses Trump. Don't do this.
It's just another tool to fearmonger you and to just continue to vote for the same people over and over again and never breaking the cycle of chaos that we see within the black community.
Okay.
We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway.
Former President Donald Trump recently said that he doesn't know what Project 2025 is, before admitting that he disagrees with some of the things they're saying. Which is it? Does he not know, or he knows a little bit? Whatever. We're going to focus on stuff that I know versus what MAGA man knows, because I know a Trump supporter didn't just talk about another candidate and another political party fear-mongering. On Donald J. Trump's official campaign website, once you scroll past where he talks about deporting brown people and defying the Constitution, under President Trump announces plans to end crime and restore law and order, there are 7 ideas. Among them are number 5. President Trump has committed to deploying federal assets, including the National Guard, to restore law and order when local law enforcement refuses to act. But to sum up all 7 ideas, there's this. Joe Biden and the defund the police Democrats have turned our once great cities into cesspools of bloodshed and crime. Along with,
because police forces have been gutted by Democrats' war on police, I will sign a record investment in hiring, retention, and training for police officers nationwide. So important.
It's important to know that no city defunded its police department. According to the Chicago Tribune, in 2021, cities like Chicago cut its police budget by 3%, largely by eliminating vacant positions. And Los Angeles reduced its spending on police by about 5% overall. That's not a defunding. It's not what that word means. When Trump used a tiny percentage of his net worth to pay hush money in the Stormy Daniels scandal, was he defunded? When Melania takes half from 45 in their renegotiated prenup, will he be defunded? A better question is, when Donald forks over more money to E. Jean Carroll because he keeps running his mouth, is he defunding himself? Do with that information what you will, but money taken from police departments was returned within 9 months. Even with that, 26 of the 50 largest cities in America increased their police budgets in 2021, including Tampa, Fresno, and San Diego. And did crime spike there too? Of course it did. Meanwhile, Austin, Texas, New York City, and Minneapolis had the biggest budget cuts. Did they have the biggest spikes in crime? No. And by crime, I mean just homicide. The vast majority of other crimes plateaued or decreased in that time. Besides, Third Way says blue states spend more on police spending per resident than red states do. Fearmonger that. Speaking of, I'm sure MAGA man knows that there's a red state murder rate problem too. 8 out of the 10 states with the highest murder rates in 2022 voted for Donald Trump in both 2016 and 2020. From 2000 to 2022, the average red state murder rate was 24% higher than the average blue state murder rate. Red states like Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama are America's murder capitals and have had the highest 3 murder rates for 15 of the last 23 years. I'm sure MAGA man knows this. He lives in Mississippi. So is that the cycle of chaos that comes with voting for people over and over again? And this red state murder rate problem is even when you take large cities out of the equation, because a study found that the most rural counties had a 37% higher rate of firearm deaths than the most urban counties from 2011 to 2020. I know that. This is when you include self-inflicted. Pew pew, by the way. Just being real, the most rural counties had a 46% lower rate of gun homicide deaths than the most urban counties, but a 76% higher rate of gun suicide deaths. And those states have Republican governors. The RAND report found that gun homicide rates were highest in southern states, particularly Louisiana and Mississippi in 2020. Mississippi, where MAGA man lives. With that in mind, he says,
And just look at the decades long of Democrat control over black cities.
who has control over these cities? Look up preemptive gun laws. The vast majority of cities around the country don't come up with their own policies. The states that they're in do. By the way, 63 of the top 100 largest cities in America have a Democrat mayor. And there are 6 Republican mayors in the top 40 because really, once we get to the 41st biggest city by population, is the city really that big? Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma are the 3 largest red ran cities. And do they have what MAGA men would call chaos? Yes. Violent crime is a big city problem regardless of party affiliation. And big cities happen to vote blue. Trump is going to do for crime what Republican mayors and governors have done. Nothing. And with all this, I don't know what Project 2025 stuff is. Remember that Trump couldn't tell his wife apart from the woman he assaulted. And he said he had nothing to do with Stormy Daniels. The endorsed support talk with Project 2025 and Heritage Foundation should be reversed when you consider that even though Donald disavowed David Duke, the KKK still supports him. For Really American, I'm Jeff Wiggins. My architect knows Japanese.